And we are live. It's the Revved Up 906 podcast, a Detroit Pistons podcast to be exact. And I'm Hudson.
I'm Ryan.
And before we get into episode number 25, I want to shout out Grind Clothing Co. We have partnered up with them for our first merch drop. You can find the links to those merch drops in the description below and in our YouTube bio. Make sure to go follow Grind Clothing Co. on Instagram because they are always having new drops and all kinds of different designs for any different types of likings. And make sure to go check them out. Also, make sure to like and subscribe because the Revved Up 906 podcast is growing and we want it to continue to grow. So as the Pistons are in the off season, make sure you're in the know with all Detroit Pistons news because Revved Up 906 on Instagram and on YouTube, we're bringing the heat. Without further ado, let's get into episode number 25. This week, we will be evaluating Killian Hayes' junior year, his third season in the NBA. This year, we saw him average 10 points per game, nearly 3 rebounds, 6.2 assists, which I'm super happy with.
Oh, yeah.
And free throw and from the field, rather, 45%. He finished the season against the Chicago Bulls with 26 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 40% from the three-point line. But Killian Hayes really wrapping up his third season in a big way to kind of head into the summer with a lot of momentum, with which a guy like him is huge.
Yeah, it was big for him. And, even though this season was not great for our team in the sense of our record, 17 wins is not going to cut it.
Right.
But what he was able to do to help validate Weaver taking him where he did, it's a good step because this is a season in which if he didn't have this kind of season this year, everybody would be going for a Weaver in the sense of like, what are you doing?
Yeah, he might be on the trading block if he didn't have the season he did. I think that there was a lot of times this season we were like, "Oh, Killian might be in trade talks," but he would have these 3-4 games in a row where he would really show why he is crucial to have on your team. His season totals this year: he had 2,154 minutes, 786 points, 221 rebounds, 470 assists, and 104 steals. These last couple of weeks, we have been evaluating each and every Detroit Pistons player. What are some of your comparisons for Killian Hayes after seeing a season like this? We saw him have very well-rounded statistics, was able to give you a little bit of everything.
So I have 3 guys.
Okay.
Not just 1, 3. So these 3, I think Killian showed traits in honestly each comparison. So the first one, Sean Livingston.
Ooh, interesting.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
But when you look at the comparison between their third years, it's almost identical.
Okay.
And honestly, I don't mind that out of a Killian. Because if we get a Sean Livingston type player, Sean Livingston played in the NBA forever.
Oh, absolutely.
But he was a solid vet point guard for a long time.
Yeah.
And if we can get that kind of play out of Killian, even if it isn't like starter minutes or whatever, I'm happy with that.
What's kind of interesting about that comparison is that Sean Livingston was a guy that really hurt you from the mid-range game. And we saw Killian Hayes kind of find his way throughout the season with the mid-range game. And then the other thing about Sean Livingston is he was crucial for those championship years with the Golden State Warriors. He was a guy that you knew was going to come off the bench, give you buckets, but wasn't going to force anything.
Yeah.
And we saw that from Killian Hayes this year, where when he was in an offensive funk, he wasn't going to force it. He was going to try to pass the ball and play solid defense. When he did start off the game right, making a couple buckets here and there, he was going to force the effort of getting buckets. And that's what we really saw Killian Hayes do in his third season, was really find a rhythm in situations where typically he would just kind of fall behind and kind of just curl up in a ball. We saw him step up to the occasion.
Yeah, and like you break down the year 3 averages for Sean Livingston, he averaged 9.3 points, 3.4 rebounds, 5.1 assists, 2 turnovers, 2 fouls, and shot 46% from the field, 31% from the free throw line. Averaged 29 minutes.
Okay.
Only played 54 games. Sean Livingston started out his career very rocky, like Killian has, in the sense of he's gotten injured and he just hasn't hit his stride of being who he was meant to be yet. And just by looking at the year 3 stats, they're pretty much identical in every single one. But granted, Sean Livingston played 54 games compared to Killian's 76. Second guy, Jamal Crawford.
Oh, I love Jamal Crawford. I'm a Jamal guy. What are the statistics?
10.7 points, 2.3 boards, 4.2 assists, 1.7 turnovers, and 1.6 fouls. Shot 41% from the field, 35% from the 3-point line, and 80% from the free throw line.
So, I mean, even Jamal Crawford struggled with the 3-point game early in his career. We saw him really, find his way with the 3-point line as he became a vet. Hopefully that's something we see from Killian also.
Yeah, and what I see out of Killian compared to Jamal is Killian does actually have handles.
Oh,
He does.
Absolutely.
He's very I'm going to cross you up right now.
Yep.
Now, it's not to the point of a Jamal Crawford, because let's be realistic here. Jamal Crawford had some of the best handles in NBA history.
Yeah.
Outside of Isaiah Thomas and others. So I don't want to throw Kyrie in that, but I have to, because Kyrie does have good handles.
Oh, dude.
Even though I don't like his personality, he has great handles. He's a great athlete. He's a good
game.
basketball player. But yeah, so Jamal Crawford, Sean Livingston, already almost identical with Killian's stats this year.
Right.
The third guy is Mike Conley.
Interesting. I like that. That's probably my favorite comparison because it's very natural, those two guys kind of being the same category.
Mike Conley, in his third year, 12 points, 2.5 boards, 5.3 assists, 2 turnovers rather, and 2 fouls per game. Shot 44% from the field, 38% from the 3-point line, and 74% from the free throw line in 32 minutes per game. All 3 guys are almost identical. Now, the 538 projected the top 10 most comparable players.
Yeah.
And Sean Livingston was number 1. Jamal Crawford was number 3. And then Mike Conley was 8.
Okay.
Which is interesting. But the reason is because the other ones, I'm like, I can see it, but I think Killian's better than. Or it's like, I don't see that at all. Where are you getting that from? And so, number 2, Frank Ntilikina.
Okay.
We
Killian's better than him.
almost took him in that same draft.
Yeah.
We almost took
Glad
him.
we didn't.
DeAnthony Melton, which I don't mind the comparison, because DeAnthony Melton this season, at least in the playoffs with the 76ers, has stepped up to a whole new level, and he was a second-round pick. So the fact that he's this developed with his game at this point, oh my goodness. But he's a solid player. I wouldn't compare the two just because it's like they're 2 totally different players.
I thought that kind of too.
But DeAnthony is still a great player.
I really like the Mike Conley one, because the reason we do these comparisons is because we want to see where these guys are kind of projected to end their career. And a guy like Mike Conley makes me super excited to think that Killian Hayes and Mike Conley kind of might be in this similar situation as far as career path. And we know that this Detroit Pistons team has some offensive juggernauts that are going to need help on the offensive end as far as facilitating, and then on the opposite end, help on the defense. And Mike Conley, not just a nice guy, but also a hooper that can make your team very efficient. And I think when our team becomes playoff ready, Killian Hayes is going to have to be that guy that kind of keeps our offensive threats efficient.
Yeah, think of what we've broken down so far with our comparisons. Jaden Ivey, Dwayne Wade.
Yep.
Jalen Duren, Dwight Howard. Killian Hayes, Mike Conley.
Right.
That's pretty good so far.
Absolutely.
I am not complaining.
Yeah.
And we're not even done with the whole team yet. So imagine the comparisons there.
Right.
But yes, Killian Hayes had a great bounce back year that he needed to have. He didn't play a whole lot his first 2 years in the league because, in my opinion, this was his rookie year. It really was, because even this year, he played, 76 games. He still didn't even play 82.
Right.
He still missed a couple games there.
Right.
So we really haven't seen a full sample size other than this year, but even then it wasn't even a full sample size.
When evaluating Killian Hayes' third season, we talked about a lot of good things, but you got to talk about the good and bad. Everybody has good and bad throughout an 82-game schedule. Something that made me worrisome throughout the season was Killian Hayes' fouling struggles. We saw last year he played 66 games, finished with 183 fouls in 66 games. This season he played an extra 10 games, like you're saying, 76, and finished with 219 fouls. An extra 36 fouls in just 10 games. So yeah, with Killian, I'm happy with his play because he found rhythm offensively when we didn't know if he could do that. He was so streaky. And now I really believe if in his fourth season that he can kind of hold back those fouls and get consistent minutes.
Yeah.
Because fouling really controls how much you're going to play, especially for a guy like Killian. So I really want him to take a step back and really calm down. I'm not sure what it takes to not foul, but do whatever it takes. And hopefully this next coach of the Detroit Pistons see a statistic like this and really know I have to address this with Killian. Because if he can control a simple thing like fouling, I really think he will flourish even more. And I think it's kind of holding him back a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you brought up the coach side of things because honestly, our next coach is going to impact our whole team in the sense of, like this team this year was very foul heavy. It wasn't just certain guys. It was everyone.
Yeah.
Like Bo Young, Killian, even with the games that Cade did play this year, he was very foul heavy. And so it's just to show you, like, you can't just blame certain guys, but when addressing the team as a whole, they are a big issue with it. And just the next coach we bring in obviously is going to be a defensive guy.
Right.
Because we're fine offensively. Because you got Jaden Ive, you got Cade Cunningham. You have all these weapons. I don't think offense is going to be our issue. I think when it comes down to it, it's defense and fouling. And fouling goes inside with defense.
Totally.
And historically speaking, what teams in our history have won championships? Defensive-built teams.
Bad boys.
Bad boys and going to work. Both of them were both developed defensively. Totally. Now, all of them, great offense, by far. But you didn't need to coach that. It was mainly defense. And so what did Larry Brown teach? Defense. What did Chuck Daly teach? Defense. So our next coach has to be defense. And not that I'm saying that I don't want an offensive coach, because you could say, why not? Because this league is going whole offense now, and it's just progressed into scoring above 120 every single night.
Which is crazy.
What the heck? Like, how is that possible?
As Pistons fans, we're like,
122
points? What?
And then we have the 100-point night or the 90-point night, and we're like, oh.
We're like, we lost by 33.
But I think that our next coach has to be defensive. And that coach is actually going to really unlock Killian. Because Killian thinks defensively. He doesn't think offensively. He has the intangibles. He has great handles. He has a high basketball IQ. He knows where to pass the ball in certain situations. And he knows when to take the right shot. That's not his struggles. His struggles is defensively and fouling. And if we can get a defensive coach to unlock that, not only will it unlock Killian, but it will unlock the whole team.
We mentioned earlier Killian Hayes' offensive highs and lows. His best month this season was actually in December. It seemed like when we were doing our recaps in the month of December, we were just like every night we were talking about Killian. 12 points, 6.6 assists, 0.9 steals, 3.2 fouls he averaged in December. For reference, the team record for the Pistons that month was 4-10. 2 of those wins, he had 22 points, 8 assists against the Mavericks, who didn't make the playoffs, but known as a solid team. The second win, he had 25 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds against the Hornets with well-known LaMelo Ball. So to be able to put up those kind of numbers against a guy with the name of Luka Doncic and LaMelo Ball, when you really break down the stats like that and you look up the matchups and you see the statistics in these wins, you're like, each game, Killian Hayes was a pretty big factor when we were winning. So shout out to Killian, and he's showing that his play can lead to winning basketball.
Yeah, and honestly, our team as a whole, when Killian is blowing it up, it's when our team is winning and we're playing as a team and we're playing great and we're playing efficiently and we're taking the right shots. We're great on defense. The whole 9 yards. When we're doing good, Killian is doing good. When we're doing bad, Killian is doing bad.
Right.
Because it not only does it affect the whole team, but it affects certain guys, and Killian is one of those guys because it's all about in his head. That's who Killian is.
Yeah.
And so when he has the confidence, oh my goodness, he's a whole different guy. But when he doesn't and he's lacking it, then it's like, oh my goodness, what is going on right now? Who is that guy? Like,
you're like, this dude's going off.
I don't want to give him an F. Like, who is that guy? But no, Killian, it's all about confidence for him. And when we're cooking, he is cooking by far.
Right.
And honestly, this season was an example of that in the sense of when we're cooking as a whole team, he's the best guy out there on the floor. And that's a bit of a bold take in the sense of you have Jaden Ivey, you had Bojan Bogdanovic, you had Jalen Duren, you had all these guys. But honestly, Killian was the go-to guy this season for our team.
Yeah, especially when we're playing winning basketball. You know, when you're losing, you don't really blame Killian because there's so many factors on our team. But you look at the statistics when we were winning games, and Killian Hayes was always one of those main statistic factors. He put up numbers when we were winning. One thing that I'm super happy about, because we saw in his first and second season him struggle so badly from the free throw line. I mean, he would go 1 for 7, and you'd be like, come on, Killian, just knock him down. But this season, we saw him get drastically better and shoot 82% from the free throw line. So it's like, that's just another thing that he just got better at. And that's why I'm so excited, because we saw a big jump from his second to third season. Now, what are we going to see from his third to fourth? I'm so excited for that. And especially to end the season the way he did against the Pacers and then the Bulls, and to know that he's a confidence guy, and to head into the summer with, you know, a weight lifted off his shoulders, knowing that he played so well. Killian Hayes that's confident should terrify all the 31 other NBA teams.
Because when you have a guy like him coming off the bench with the second unit, that's scary. That's terrifying. When you have him coming off to start the game with the first unit, you're like, oh, okay, there's Killian. We got to look out for him. Our next second star should be able to handle him. But when he's coming off the bench playing against rotation guys, that should scare the crap out of anyone.
Right.
Just the fact of how he ended the season, he left making a statement. He left going hey, this is who I am. Watch out for next season. And that's what I'm the most excited about, because he elevated his game with the last 2 games. He just took a huge step in the right direction. And that's what we'd like to see, because if he's not making that step when he does it and leaving on a high note, then it's Killian had an okay season. There wasn't anything spectacular with it. Nothing terrible. It was just an season. But the way he left it out there, it's oh, I'm excited.
Yeah. That's because you have to be a Pistons fan and to have a 17-game winning season. It's brutal, right? But when you look at the statistics, there are so many things to be excited about, and that's why you have to focus in on games and focus in on the way Killian ended the season, because then that's something you can hold your hat on. We saw earlier in the season Killian Hayes and Mo Wagner kind of have a little run-in. And the Orlando Magic, the Houston Rockets, these are teams that the Pistons have kind of built up this certain rivalry with. That's also kind of the impression we've gotten as following the Pistons. But on April 2nd against the Orlando Magic, it was our final bout. Killian Hayes put up 20 points, 7 assists, 100% from the free throw line, and 50% from the field. We lost by, unfortunately, 26 points. We were super upset in that recap, I remember in particular. But Killian Hayes, a guy that we know is a very emotional, wears his emotions on his shoulders. We know like the mental affects him a lot. To be able to have a run-in with Mo Wagner earlier that season, about 20 games previous, and to come out against the Orlando Magic kind of with a chip on his shoulder, show that, Mo, you're not going to disrespect me. I'm going to go out and give your team 20 points. And to see that from Killian Hayes is another reason why we've seen him grow.
Yeah. It's just that last game against the Magic was probably, me and you, we were bashing. We were like, we're in a
terrible position. Like, the Pistons suck. Like, we were just like so upset.
That was an awful game. I hated watching it. I honestly contemplated turning it off, but I didn't because I remembered I have to recap it. I can't just turn it off, even though I wanted to. But no, Killian, even though the rest of our team played terrible, he still went out there and did his thing, and that's just, it shows the growth. Because with our last 2 games there, you saw him make a statement, and that's when we were playing great. But even when we're playing bad towards the end of the season, Killian is still making those strides at having good games. And that's what you need to see, because it helps build character. When we talk about character development all the time in like certain shows and whatever, and like you look at The Mandalorian as an example, and it's like, oh, that character did not grow at all. This season was not great, but
don't watch this season of Mandalorian.
No, you gotta watch it still. But it wasn't great. It wasn't great. But no, we talk about character development, and you look at Killian Hayes. Killian Hayes, and in the beginning, it's like, who is this guy? What is his story? And is he going to be as good as Weaver thinks he's going to be? That was season 1. Season 1 didn't end up great for him. He got injured, missed the rest of the season. That was that. Year 2 comes in. It was the 3 same questions, except is he going to get injured again this year? And he did. But those same questions came on to year 3. But year 3, he finally fell into place, and you saw him grow as a person and a player, and it all came together. And that this is just the first of many building blocks to come, because this is just it. You talk about perfect timing in the right situation. This was perfect timing in the right situation for him to grow and to continue to grow down the road.
And Troy Weaver, Dwayne Casey gave him enough time to grow. There's many times, I'll say it, early on when we started podcasting, I'm like, trade Killian, why do we have him? Just do it. Why? But now that he finished his 3rd season, played 76 games, showed that he could put together mostly a whole season, very close. I'm happy we didn't move and make a rash decision, because ever since that game in Paris against the Chicago Bulls, Killian Hayes was embarrassed. He played terrible. He looked like garbage in his home country. And I really believe he was determined since that game. He had like another 2 weeks where he really struggled, but then he showed the resiliency, that character development, and was able to end on a high note. And that's just so crucial, especially for a guy like Killian that's so young and deals with confidence issues. So, that's why I'm happy that Dwayne Casey and Troy Weaver always vouched for him and showed their loyalty to him, and that we drafted him high in the draft, in the lottery, for a reason, and they stuck to that.
Yeah, and you brought it up here about Weaver and Casey giving him an opportunity. We gave him the 3 years to develop, because Weaver probably knew going into this season, Casey, I love him, but he's not our coach of the future. And the next coach coming in has to have guys that are developed. And Killian is now more developed than ever. And that's the perfect situation to unlock him even more when you have a new coach coming in who is defensive minded, maybe. And so, like, this is just the perfect timing. I keep saying it, but
Yeah.
it really is the perfect timing for Killian Hayes to be the guy that Weaver knew he was going to be.
Totally. Everybody knows, if you're a listener or subscriber, that we're big stats guys. I kind of got into some of my statistics. We talked about your comparisons, Ryan. What kind of statistics you got in that laptop over there? What do you got in your notes in the deep depths of your 20-page notes?
They're not 20. Killian's is 4, but it's
okay.
not 20.
Yeah.
So comparison, if we were to continue.
Okay.
The top 10 notable players, we named a couple.
Because I was excited about Mike Conley. Conley. I wonder if there's others that I'd be more excited about.
I don't know. Joe Johnson.
I mean, I like him in the Big Three.
Yeah. And
he was a baller for that.
He should have played for us, but he decided not to.
Yeah, but he was old anyway.
Yeah.
But Atlanta Hawks Joe Johnson was a bucket getter.
Josh Smith, Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah.
Great.
Dude.
Josh Smith, Pistons, I hate you.
Yeah, dude. Josh Smith I love to rant about that era. I love to rant about it. Let's move on. Let's move on.
All right,
we should do an episode, though, on just evaluating Josh Smith's couple years with Detroit Pistons. Expect that episode to be coming out soon.
All right. Or another episode idea.
Yeah.
Most hated Pistons of all time.
Ooh. Comment below if you guys want the most hated Detroit Pistons video. We'll break it down for you if you want it. Leave a comment below.
Because obviously number 1 has to be Darko.
Yeah, probably. Overall, yeah.
I mean, he was a complete
Josh
boss.
Smith is so high up there for me.
He is very high.
All right, we'll get into it. Leave a comment. Leave a comment below if you want to see that.
De'Aaron Fox.
Ooh! I like that one.
Really?
I mean, I like the Mike Conley one more because
I
think it's more realistic.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, De'Aaron Fox, an absolute bucket. Too bad he hurt himself in the playoffs. But
he said he's playing still.
Oh, he's playing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Even with a broken finger, he's still going to play.
Hey, cast it up. Cast it up. Just no shooting threes, I guess.
No.
I don't know.
If he did and he was just in fuego all night.
But, hey.
Yeah.
So do you have De'Aaron Fox's third-year statistics?
I do not, actually.
Okay.
That's the one that I decided not to break down because
that's fine.
It's kind of unrealistic, but I see where they were going with it.
Yeah, athletic, can facilitate. De'Aaron did also kind of struggle offensively, like finding a rhythm, like as far as shooting the ball. He could always get a bucket in the paint. But, all right, I like that too. I like it.
Jarrett Culver, which I don't like that one because Jarrett Culver is a bust. Let's be real. He's a bust.
Is he in Minnesota? Where is he?
I believe he's in nowhere right now.
Oh, he's not even on a roster.
Yeah, which makes it even worse.
Yeah, we don't want to make Killian unlucky.
He's still only 24.
It's kind of crazy. He probably is in the G League somewhere.
He shouldn't have been picked as high as he was.
Yeah.
Then they had Dermar Johnson, which
I don't even know who that is.
Exactly.
Was he the cornrows guy? Did he have cornrows?
I honestly don't
I'm thinking
remember.
Damari Carroll. Never mind.
Yeah, but he did play in the NBA. It was a while ago. There's a reason why not a lot of people know who he is.
Yeah.
And I say that in the nicest way possible. So if you are watching this,
we love you, man.
Yeah. Then they said Tony Roten.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we broke down and evaluated Killian Hayes' third season. At the end of every episode, we are doing a final grade for Killian Hayes and his third season. Ryan, do you have the breakdown of grades just in case someone missed last episode?
The grading tree. A, amazing season, better than expected. B, great season, better than advertised. C, as advertised with room for improvement. D, below advertised with a lot of room for improvement. And F, my favorite, who is this guy?
I do love that one. All right, I'll start us off.
All right.
I'm very happy with his play this year. I'm going to read it off because I want to make it like kind of, sentimental. Mm-hmm. He would have 10-game streaks where his play was completely quiet. But he improved offensively this year and found confidence when he needed to. Like we said, he ended the season strong and to start a long summer break. That's crucial for him. With that being said, with the ups and downs of his season this year, I'm going to give him a C+.
Okay.
Because he showed us this year, yes, improvements, but we know for sure he won't be our starter.
Yeah.
And he probs won't. I said probs in my notes. He probably won't start on many other NBA teams.
Yeah.
Just looking at every other team, I'm like, I probably wouldn't start on this team. So that's a bit disappointing because we drafted him so high. But overall, I'm very happy with his play. I just think where we drafted him, we kind of need big expectations from him. I think he was 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Something like that. He was in there. And so I think we need to give big expectations to these guys that are in top 10. And so I'm going to give him a C+, though don't think that I'm not happy with his play. I'm happy. I want to see improvement each and every year. And I think we're going to see that from him. Give us a lowdown.
For me, this is tough because every single player we've graded so far, I've wanted to grade them higher than they were graded.
Yeah. And you're a big Killian Hayes guy.
I am.
You've always vouched for him.
I have always vouched for him because I really do believe there is something there.
Mm-hmm.
He's not just a rock. And I don't know where I was going with that.
Rock in a hard place.
Yeah, sure. But no, Killian, I do love you. You have a ton of potential still. Not everybody sees it, but in my eyes,
it's there.
It's there. It is there. So with that being said,
I just know how excruciating it is for Ryan to give people grades.
It is. It's hard.
Because we love our Pistons, so it's like, oh.
I mean, there's certain ones from this year's team where I'm like, they're okay, but
yeah, I'm
not going to name names.
Yeah.
You'll find out soon enough.
Oh. But, all right, final grade, Ryan. Give it to us.
B-.
Okay, I like that.
And that's just because he showed at times who we can be and who I know he can be.
Mm-hmm.
And then at times it's like, oh, okay. But that's why what gives him the B- is the amount of growth he took within playing pretty much a whole season.
Right.
Because he hasn't even had that opportunity yet. And he finally came in his stride. Yeah, the stats weren't all over the place, but that's who he is as a player. He's an everywhere guy. He's not like an individual. I'm going to go out there and drop 20 every night.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to go out there and drop 10 points, 15 assists every night. We don't have to expect the same thing from him for him to be successful. Mm-hmm. And that's why I gave him a B-.
I like it. I like that grade. We're always somewhat in the same ballpark. So that means we're being impartial, people. And that's what you want us. That will do it for episode number 25. We just broke down Killian Hayes' third NBA season. Make sure to like and subscribe and turn on your post notifications. As you guys can tell, we are in a new studio. So I want to shout out Campfire Coworks because we have partnered up with them. They are an office sharing space, and they also have a couple podcast studios. So you guys will continue to see us in this beautiful studio. And we might have technical difficulties. I'm not sure. We're still dealing with a few things. We're not the best IT guys. But make sure to go follow Campfire Coworks on Facebook and Instagram, and go connect with them and see if you guys can partner up with them also. We will see you guys in the next episode. Peace.